Alright, so look, The Last of Us 2 was a litmus test on empathy, and if you're one of those people who didn't see why Joel deserved to die and why Abby's character was necessary in the overall narrative, this video is for you. And if you still hate Abby's character by the end of the video, you failed that empathy test miserably. With that being said, let's get into it. Our introduction to Joel is one that immediately makes him relatable to the vast majority of people. We see him on a phone call to Tommy talking about how he can't afford to lose his job. Presumably, there was some sort of issue between Tommy and the contractor and Joel that could affect Joel's livelihood. Point being, Joel is portrayed as an honest, hardworking man who is playing the mediator in this unseen situation. I think Joel is the classic man's man here. He works a laborious job to provide for himself and his daughter. We meet Joel at a time in his life where he's incredibly commendable. Walking around Joel's house in the beginning of the game, we find a birthday card that Sarah intended to give to him. I ain't gonna read this whole thing, but the line, "You're never around," stuck out to me. I know this is probably a joke, but still, what exactly would keep him away enough for her to really pick up on it? All bro does is work. I'd be remiss not to mention the note that he leaves Sarah on the fridge, which reads, "I'm going to be home late. Go ahead and order food. See you in the morning." This to me reads like this is a common occurrence, something Sarah has grown used to, and it's something that can't be helped given their situation. Something I noticed here is that there's no mention at all of a wife, or a girlfriend, or any kind of mother figure to Sarah. We can assume that she's either dead or left, as Joel refuses to talk about it when Ellie asks later in the game. In any case, Joel is the sole provider for this household, and he must work damn hard because this house isn't shabby at all. Shout out 2008. But this intro really does serve to humanize Joel by letting us play as the one person he loves the most. As Sarah, we have no knowledge of what's happening. Essentially, we become Sarah in more ways than one. Most games like to kill off characters early on and expect us to give a f about them, and typically, that's our character's main motive to complete some mission. This game makes us understand Joel by becoming the one he cared about the most, and I can't help but feel like the players got attached heart first in these opening moments. Hell, bro's phone wallpaper is literally him and Sarah at a soccer game. Joel here is every loving dad in America. If we can see ourselves in Joel, we can see the ideal that he embodies and wants for ourselves. He's the kind of man who'd do anything for his daughter. And that's the trap. The more we see ourselves in Joel, the more we excuse the choices that will later cost everyone everything. On the drive out of the area, we can see bits of Joel's selfishness begin to peek through. We see the family on the side of the road needing help. They have kids. Joel and Tommy have room in the car, but they decide to just drive by. Joel tries to cover his ass here and says,
"You ain't seen what I seen."
Which is valid, but just because you witnessed something bad, everyone else must suffer? Even Sarah says,
"You should have helped him."
See, Sarah here is acting like a moral compass. Moments like this show that empathy is instinctive for some, but for Joel, it's already something that he has to choose, and he often chooses self-preservation instead. And yeah, Joel is simply being a protector, and his actions make sense, but his choice of words reveal the sort of man he ends up becoming in the end. Moments like this show Joel's empathy is conditional. He protects the people he claims as his own, and lets the rest of the world burn. But see, the man he ends up becoming is born shortly after, in the moment Sarah is killed. I actually really hate talking about this scene because it's one of the most gut-wrenching things I've ever seen in any piece of media. But alas, we persist. Joel here lost his humanity in two moments. The first is when he realizes that the guard is about to shoot them. He's been through hell already on day one. He killed a man, he got into a car crash, his daughter's injured, and he's running around the city with his brother trying to find protection. He sees the guard and is looking for a break, a hand extended to him in his time of need. This was probably the first time he really needed to rely on an outside force to be shown the goodness of humanity. Instead, the world slaps him in the face and kills his daughter. Joel didn't just lose Sarah. He lost his reason to believe in people. And for the next 20 years, he made damn sure he'd never need anyone ever again. And that's the root of the empathy test. When you lose faith in people, you stop seeing them as worthy of understanding. The armor he builds here will later become the weapon that destroys Ellie's agency and sets off the events of part 2. This is the second time that he dies.
You're gonna be okay, baby. Stay with me. I'm gonna pick you up. I know, baby. I know it hurts. Come on, baby. Please. I know, baby.
The next time we meet Joel, he's not a shell of his former self. He's a man who forged himself in accordance with the world around him. He's not a father anymore. He's a survivor. Nothing more or less. Here, we also meet Tess, Bars, his partner in crime essentially, and their relationship, or lack thereof, is told in subtle but eye-opening ways. See, there's implied romantic feelings between him and Tess, but it's clear they're both too far gone for anything closely resembling a true romantic relationship. They're guarded with each other. See, there's a scene here where Joel expresses concern through cleaning her wound. He asks about it, asking if she killed them. See, there's love and care there, but it's dressed up as nonchalance. I get the feeling that Joel and Tess have transformed any intimacy between the two of them into missions throughout the compound. It's love written as utility, in a way, which is a worldview that Joel would eventually project onto Ellie, valuing her capability more than her innocence. But regarding Joel and Tess, this is the closest they'll allow themselves to get with each other, showing how fractured Joel's idea of love, romantic or otherwise, is essentially depleted. That emotional fracture is exactly what will make it so hard for Joel and players to extend empathy later, even to someone like Abby. I can't say for sure that we meet him here again at his lowest, but it's definitely not a high point.
I'm ready now, yeah?
Oh, I can do now.
After a particularly spicy lovemaking session disguised as a revenge mission, we find ourselves face to foot with Robert, a man who sold our guns to the leader of the Fireflies, Marlene. Now Tess and Joel obviously need those guns back, but Marlene tells us that she paid for them fair and square. If we want them back, we need to earn them. Earn them by smuggling something, rather someone, out of the city.
I want Joel to watch over her.
Whoa, I don't think that's
Bullshit,
the
I'm not
best
Ellie.
idea.
him.
Calling her just cargo, we see Joel and Tess barely even question why they're smuggling a person. They quite literally just see her as a means to an end. But I want to note something that I didn't catch until writing. When Joel asks Ellie how old she was, he asks,
You're friends with the leader of the Fireflies. What are you, like 12?
and it's worth mentioning that Sarah was actually 12 years old at the time of her death. To me, this shows that he has this sort of unconscious father figure vibe even before he loved Ellie. He kind of recognizes how closely she resembled, even faintly, his daughter. This unconscious acknowledgement will go on to be the basis for every meaningful interaction moving forward for Joel towards Ellie. From this point on, Joel's bond with Ellie is inevitable, and so is the selfishness it will bring out of him.
I hate bad dreams.
Yeah, me too.
Now I know what I just said, but let's skip to a scene where Tess is just about to shoot Ellie. Not only is she willing to do it, Joel just stands by and does nothing to stop it. So while subconsciously Joel sees a daughter, consciously he's prepared to cut that tie to avoid feeling anything more. At this point he's probably a bit satisfied with the idea because having Ellie dead would justify his reluctance to let people in, to allow himself to feel empathy. Joel shows how disillusioned he is. He goes straight to cynicism when faced with the possibility that Ellie may be a key to a cure.
Let's say that we deliver you to the Fireflies. What then?
Marlene, she said that they have their own little quarantine zone with doctors there still trying to find a cure.
Yeah, we've heard that before, huh, Tess?
And that whatever happened to me is the key to finding a vaccine.
Oh, Jesus.
It's what she said.
Oh, I'm sure she did.
Hey, fuck you, man. I didn't ask for this.
Me neither. Tess, what the hell are we doing here?
What if it's true?
I can't...
What if, Joel? I mean, we've come this far. Let's just finish it.
Do I need to remind you what is out there?
I get it.
That cynicism isn't just doubt either, it's a defense mechanism, because hope means vulnerability, and Joel's whole identity now is about avoiding that pain. But Tess, probably his only anchor in this world, lets hope shine through. She says it may be possible. They're already this far, why not see it through? She ultimately understands Joel's point of view to succumb to this sort of trauma-induced fatalism, but Tess wants hope. She wants to believe that there's something worth fighting for. Joel, however, lost his hope 20 years ago. We don't know that much about Tess, and I can assume that she has experienced loss, but probably not like how Joel has. But anyway, we jump ahead to where Joel and friends are crossing buildings with the plank, and here we get to our first small bonding moment between Joel and Ellie. He tells Ellie to be careful on the plank, and she simply scoffs and struts across like she's done it before, and she probably has actually, now I think about it. Joel here looks annoyed seemingly, but I think it was simply him being a bit proud. Ellie is capable, and I think a trait like capability is something Joel values. Now let's cut back to when Sarah gets him to watch. The question he asks her is where she got the money from. She just jokes and says,
Drugs. I sell hardcore drugs.
Joel doesn't press for an answer here, and to me it reads like he's just proud she was able to go out and acquire however much she needed, however she could. That moment, both with Sarah and with Ellie, tells us something about Joel. He's proud of capability, he values independence, and he sees that in both of them. But when you love someone for their capability instead of protecting their innocence, you're already on the path to justify anything to keep them alive, no matter the cost to others, which would be Joel's blind spot later.
Look, we're almost done. Stay focused.
Yes, ma'am.
We skip forward to them at the Capitol building, and we see the fireflies that were arranged to meet them have been killed. Tess is searching frantically for something, anything, any shred of hope, while Joel sits back and shows more of his learned cynicism. But going back a bit, remember when I said Joel and Tess's relationship is there, but it's strained? We see that even more clearly in this scene.
Let's just go home.
I'm not going anywhere. This is my last stop.
What?
Our luck had to run out sooner or later.
You going on?
No, don't touch me.
Holy shit. She's infected.
Joel,
Let me see it.
I didn't mean for this.
Show it to me. Oh, Christ.
Oops, right?
And here we get our first bit of real unfiltered emotion from Joel. I think Joel and his hope in this life keeps getting passed around, person to person. But in that passing of hope, the person carrying it dies. At first it was Sarah, then Tess, and now Tess is transferring it over to Ellie. This time, however, the trade-off comes at a time where Joel thought he wouldn't have to see it passed again. Joel dies a third time here, and each time Joel dies, he doesn't grow, he hardens. Shut up. By the end of this game, that hardness would dictate the fate of humanity. But I believe this is the moment Joel is reborn into a monster, not just the callous murderer we saw prior. And here's the paradox. Joel's love fuels his cruelty. The deeper his connection, the more he's willing to destroy it, which is the opposite of empathy for anyone outside his circle, where those killings could be justified. But he becomes a monster of the worst kind, a monster that doesn't even believe that they are one.
We just left her to die.
Stop. You stay close to me. We have to move.
Man.
Shortly after, we find ourselves alone with Ellie. No more Tess, no more Lean in sight. Just our two protagonists searching for a man who leaves porno mags out in the open.
How the hell would he even walk around with that thing?
On the first real outing together, we get bits of dialogue that serve to set up amazing payoffs later down the line. One of which being the section where Ellie is trying to whistle. She obviously can't, but it's genuinely such a cute moment that I'm glad it's in the game. It's such a seemingly innocuous thing to include, but later when she does learn how to whistle, we can really track how far Ellie and Joel have come. These harmless bonding milestones hide the darker truth, however. Every new thread of attachment Joel makes, the less willing he is to let go.
Let's get a move on.
But anyway, a major setup that I feel that happens is when Joel finds a weapon while on their journey and he refuses to let Ellie be armed.
Let me use that. I'm a pretty good shot with that thing.
How about we just leave this kind of stuff to me?
Well, we could both be armed. Cover each other.
I don't think so.
Let's gear up.
What? I need a gun.
No, you don't.
Joel, I can handle myself.
No. Just stay here.
No, I don't think this is a lack of trust on his part. I think he's already imprinted his fatherly instincts onto Ellie. And this is like a classic moment of, you're too young for this responsibility. Which is crazy because that's not his f***ing daughter. At this point though, we're led to believe that Joel only sees Ellie as cargo and nothing more. Hell, the mission at this point is just to get a car to hand Ellie off to Tommy, in fact. He doesn't give her a gun here, I believe, simply because he probably can't stomach the thought of his daughter, biological or otherwise, carrying and having to use a weapon. But let's go back a second. Before they reach the city Billow's in, there's a small interaction on the outskirts where we have this interaction with Ellie.
Whoa, look. Fireflies. I mean, real fireflies.
Yeah, I see that.
Sorry. I lost myself for a sec.
Ellie here is surrounded by fireflies. Obviously that's pretty on the nose, but just listen to me, bear with me. This to me symbolizes how she is the hope Joel is missing. And I said it earlier, but Joel's hope takes the form of people he loves. Here I think the world is showing him clearly, Ellie is your hope. And the scary thing is, Joel listened.
You keep babysitting long enough and eventually it's gonna blow up in
Bill.
your face.
Can we please just get on with it?
But speaking of capability and independence being a trait that Joel values, I have to highlight this scene where Ellie almost commits a f***ing hate crime.
Yeah, sure, Joel. Go ahead. Take my card. Take all my food, too, while you're at it.
By the looks of it, you could lose some of that food.
You listen to me, you little shit.
No, fuck you. You handcuffed
I
me.
need you to shut up.
I can't but feel like Joel gained some kind of respect for Ellie here. Part of it is her standing up to this Reddit moderator Bill, and part she's literally just a 14-year-old kid unafraid of what the world has become. Also, this scene is just genuinely f***ing hilarious to me because she just snaps so hard. But these little bits of dialogue, these interactions with the world around her not only endear Joel, but also the player. As Joel finds love for Ellie, so do we.
You gotta admit, she did hold her own back there.
You ain't gonna make it.
We pick up one of the most iconic scenes in the whole franchise, and it's iconic for a good reason. This is the first real bonding moment between the two. The others had a wall still up between them, but after rummaging through Bill's town, they're both exhausted and have no energy left to keep their walls up. Ellie here, however, is the main star. Her personality comes through full force, and we can't help but grow closer to her. The thing is, she's not just cargo to him, even here. And once someone is his, quote unquote, Joel stops thinking in terms of right and wrong, only in terms of keeping them. That's already, in so many words, his daughter. Not to mention the music they bond over. This is a moment of peace between the two, of truths being uncovered in the psyche of Joel. Personally, this is my favorite scene throughout both of these games. It's not action-filled, or melodramatic, or gut-wrenching. It's just peace between two characters who are setting up a future that neither one of them could ever imagine. To me, Ellie is the perfect daughter in the world that he's in. And because she's perfect for this world, Joel will make sure that this world stays exactly as it is, even if it means lying to her forever. He can't go back to his old life, obviously, worrying about contractors and bills. He can't go back to Sarah, and honestly I feel like this world would have killed Sarah anyway if she survived getting shot in the beginning. And Ellie, he's found his perfect daughter, his perfect apocalypse daughter, if you will.
Your fellow hunters do this?
Cute. And no, my money's on the military.
Why would they mow down all these people?
You can't let everyone in.
So they killed them?
And dead people don't get infected. You sacrifice the few to save the many.
It's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
Also an iconic scene is the one where Ellie tells jokes from this joke book.
I walked into my sister's room and tripped on a bra. It was a booby trap.
These two are pretty much yin-yang here. Notice throughout the story, Ellie is the one to usually kickstart the interactions between her and Joel, and because of her, we bond. Ellie, by virtue of just being her, is making Joel and the player form an attachment. See, the game is training the player's empathy here. Just like Joel, we're meant to bond with Ellie, so we understand what's at stake when our empathy is tested in part 2. We appreciate her headstrong nature, her ability to handle herself. The way she advocates for herself and Joel on various occasions is simply endearing. But soon after, Joel actually chuckles a bit at one of the jokes, showing his shell is starting to cry just a little bit.
I used to be addicted to soap, but I'm clean now.
Alright, I've actually never heard that one.
Ellie was extending a hand to reach Joel's heart pretty much this whole game, and Joel takes it, but he ends up swallowing her entirely once he does so. Joel's greatest sin was passing the inability to let go of Ellie. Ellie was a light, and Joel snuffed that out, but we'll get there. We skip ahead a bit to the part where Joel and Ellie are separated for the first time. Now, the relationship between the two at this point isn't necessarily in the best of places, but it's definitely not cargo. At this point, it's probably like co-workers. You know, even though Ellie at this point in the story isn't much help combat-wise, her presence or lack thereof is still felt. But once Joel and Ellie reunite, it's one hell of a moment. Not just because Ellie kills to save Joel, but because of his reaction.
And you just hang back like I told you to.
Well, you're glad I didn't, right?
I'm glad I didn't get my head blown off by a goddamn kid.
You know what? No. How about, hey, Ellie, I know it wasn't easy, but it was either him or me. Thanks for saving my ass. You got anything like that for me, Joel?
We gotta get going.
Lead the way.
Now, even for pretentious overthinking assholes like me, this scene was a bit hard to read, but the conclusion I came to was that Joel was actually grateful for Ellie saving his life, but because of the walls he's built up surrounding relationships, he can't bring himself to express true gratitude, even when his life is on the line. This obviously pisses Ellie off because she overcame a personal boundary for Joel, but Joel isn't willing to do the same here. This is classic dismissive avoidant and anxious attachment styles at play here. From this point forward for a bit, Ellie shuts down emotionally towards Joel, and for some reason, Joel doesn't seem to understand why.
Wow, look at that.
That's a backdrop. People would take their pictures in front of it.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Okay then. Something on your mind, Ellie?
I wasn't trying to disobey you back there. You were taking a really long time, and I thought maybe he's gotten into trouble.
Look, it don't matter what you thought. I need you to listen to me.
I do. It's just that whatever, Joel.
To me, this feels like they're very much speedrunning a father-daughter relationship. All the ups and all the downs of Ellie growing up and Joel learning to parent effectively. This is all an exercise in trust and communication. However, all is not completely lost on Joel, as he's not only seen trusting Ellie with the rifle, giving her a quick crash course on how to use one, he also respects her prior knowledge and trusts that she knows what she's doing. He also says thank you in his own way. And with Ellie being so emotionally intelligent, she understands that he's trying to say thank you, but he can't.
All right, now, I'm gonna jump down there and I'm gonna clear us a path.
What about me?
You stay here.
This is so stupid. We'd have more of a fucking chance if you let me help.
I am. You seem to know your way around a gun. You reckon you can handle that?
Well, I sort of shot a rifle before, but it was at rats
Rats?
with BBs.
Well, it's the same basic concept. Lift it up. All right, now. You're gonna lean right into that stock, as it is gonna kick a hell of a lot more than any baby rifle.
Okay.
Go and pull the bolt back. Grab it right there. Just tug it. There you go. And as soon as you fire, you're gonna want to get another round in there quick. Listen to me. If I get into trouble down there, you make every shot count. Yeah?
I got this.
All right. And just so we're clear about back there, it was either him or me.
You're welcome.
Shortly after that rat shooting is done, Joel gives Ellie a pistol. Remember when I said Ellie is Joel's perfect apocalypse daughter? It all falls into place here, as this pistol in this world symbolizes trust. Ellie has earned Joel's trust, and in a way, he's beginning to truly let her into his world. However f***ed up it may be, this was indeed meant to be a sweet moment. And it is. But pulling back a bit, this is also sort of horrifying. This 14-year-old girl has a gun and needs it. But again, this is the world they find themselves in.
Jeez. I guess this is how it ended for this zone.
Well, every battle's got a losing side.
What if they had families?
Everyone has a family. Best not to dwell on it.
How can you not?
The theme of the young being vicious is called out when we meet Harry and Sam. Upon entering a window, Joel's attacked by Henry and in the scuffle gets cut by Ellie. In the midst of getting beat the fuck up, Harry goes, See, here we meet Henry and Sam, our dark, no not because they're black, mirrors. They're testimonies that show what can happen when people can't adapt to this harsh new world. We all know Sam dies, and then Henry kills himself shortly after. This is of course because he's attached. He loves Sam, and only kept going because of Sam. Here's the kicker though. I doubt if Ellie died here, Joel would do the same. I mean sure, Henry and Sam are brothers. They both probably saw things that would tear the average person apart, and that's not lost on me. But Joel already has lost his kin. He survived it even though he didn't want to. He had to. To me, this strengthens the bond that Ellie and Joel have. They came face to face with their mirrors and their downfall. Where they failed, they were already adapted. That world wasn't for them, but this world is home to Joel and Ellie. Despite it being home, Ellie is still a light, not only in Joel's life, but in Sam's as well. And it's crazy because they quite literally just met.
Ow!
A blueberry hurt you?
It's been a while since that boy even cracked a smile. She doesn't seem bothered by all this.
That's just Ellie being Ellie. And I think Joel here is realizing what a light she really is. Not just because she brings joy to people, but because of who she is inherently. Henry and Sam held a mirror up to Joel and Ellie. Who can handle loss and who can't? A pivotal moment that happens in the Henry and Sam sections is when Henry opts to abandon Joel and Ellie as the hunters are closing in. Now I want to touch more on what happens when they reunite and Joel is about to kill Henry for his betrayal.
You know, Sam's the one who spotted you. You guys are taking quite a bit of water.
What's wrong with you? Henry! Get back, son!
Hey! He's pissed, but he's not gonna do anything.
You sure about that?
Stop!
Joel?
He left us to die out there.
No, you had a good chance of making it, and you did. But coming back for you meant putting him at risk. Stay back. If it was the other way around, would you have come back for us? I saved you.
He saved me too. We would have drowned.
The only reason Joel backs down here is because Ellie tells Joel that he saved her. This to me shows how Joel may not fully care about himself, but Ellie is becoming more and more important to him. Again, the main mission at this moment is to get her to Tommy. Joel here is starting to care, but only in the ways that surviving the apocalypse favors.
What about you? How you holding up?
Business as usual, right? When I was with Henry, I took out a couple of infected by myself. You'd be proud.
Yeah.
All throughout the section with Henry and Sam, we also get bits of bonding between Ellie and Sam. This doesn't necessarily relate to Joel and Ellie directly, but this gives even more character to Ellie, showing that at the end of the day, she's a kid who never really got to be one. But like a light, despite the darkness she finds herself in, she still finds in her to not be a battle-hardened cynic like Joel is here.
It's a tie.
No. You clearly got destroyed.
How did I clearly get destroyed? That's practically a tie.
Yeah, okay.
But I think again, like us, Joel is getting to experience what Sarah may have been like had she lived. If he hasn't already imprinted, he for sure has now.
There'll come a day where kids can just be kids again.
Let's go.
But now we get to the end of the arc that is Henry and Sam. Again, we know what ends up happening. But before this happens, Ellie opens up to Sam about her greatest fear. And unfortunately, we know that she does end up alone.
What are you scared of?
Let's see. Scorpions are pretty creepy. Being by myself. I'm scared of ending up alone.
Can we take a guess as to whose fault it is that she ends up alone? If you play the second game, you know that this particular scene hits even harder. The first tinges of pain Ellie suffers because of Joel is revealed here, but this wouldn't come to be until years later. For now, after Henry and Sam, we cut to fall.
Oh my god.
Now let's skip the part where they cross this hydroelectric dam and come across an unmarked grave that Joel comments is too small.
That's too small of a grave.
Forgot to leave that stupid robot on his grave. What should I do with it?
Ellie,
What? I want to talk about it.
no.
Why not?
How many times do we need to go over this? Things happen, and we move on.
It's just...
That's enough.
You're right. I'm sorry.
This to me is like a great summation of how Joel lived his life. He doesn't really think this way, but they fall in line with his actions at least. He's still not over Sarah's death, and who could expect him to be? But this comes right before Joel shuts down Ellie about talking about Henry and Sam. The pair of them literally witness Henry kill himself in front of them. The way Joel's eyes jut out of his face is only really seen a handful of times throughout the series, but the only other time it happens at this point is when he sees the bite mark on Tess. That statement is something Joel wants to embody, but simply can't truly fall in line with. It's apparent that Ellie has tried to talk about the pair multiple times, but Joel shuts her down every time. Joel here isn't tough. In fact, he's very emotionally closed off, whereas Ellie is trying to talk about and process the whole ordeal. We'll talk about this later on, but it's kind of fascinating how these two ship dynamics later in the second game. Joel here is trying to deny a bonding moment as it plays on how he feels about Sarah. Seeing the grave reminded him of his own daughter, not just Sam of course, and he's trying to push it down. This is later amplified when Tommy attempts to give us the physical picture Joel had of him and Sarah.
It's a little faded, but it still looks pretty good.
I'm good.
You sure? I mean,
I've said I'm good.
You see, not to get buzzwordy, but this is true toxic masculinity. This isn't noble or a good example of being tough. Rather, he's hurting and doesn't know how to process his emotions. However, he's human and he obviously wants to. And Ellie is the person who gets him to let down these walls and soften into the man who can let himself feel. But anyway, we get to one of the most important scenes in this game. One that's not necessarily a bonding moment between Ellie and Joel, but one that serves to reveal the depth of pain Joel has felt throughout his journey with Ellie. And although the pain he's been feeling has run extremely deep, it runs parallel to the amount of love he has for Ellie later down the line. The scene where Joel attempts to let go of Ellie. Let's go through this scene a bit more thoroughly though.
all right. I'll bite. Why bring her here?
I was supposed to deliver to the Fireflies. The way I figure they're your boys. You finish the job, you collect the whole damn payment.
I haven't seen a Firefly in years.
You know where they are. Now, I'm not asking for much, Tommy. I just want some simple gear, enough to set me on my way.
What makes you think I'd do this for you?
This isn't for me, Tommy. This is for your damn cause.
My cause is my family now. You ain't talking about some walk in the park here.
Jesus, boy. Have Maria get some of your born-again friends to do it.
They
but
got families too.
Tommy, I need this.
This right here isn't just Joel trying to get Ellie to the Fireflies to make a cure. In fact, the way I'm seeing this, Joel here is saying that because he needs to be relieved of his duties of being a father again. He's not simply asking him for help on the smuggling mission. Joel knows that if he loses Ellie, he'll break in a way that he'll never get over. He's desperate to get rid of her because of how much he feels for her. This again is Joel being an avoidant attacher. Would it have been much easier for Joel to simply abandon her? I'm sure he's had multiple chances to do so. I'm sure there were nights where he could have just gotten up in the middle of the night and just left, Ellie being none the wiser. But no, he cares and can't admit it to himself. Better yet, he can admit it to himself, but like an avoidant, it scares him.
You want some gear? Sure. But I ain't taking that girl off your hands.
AKA, I'm not absolving you of the dying wishes of Tess. I'm not letting you give up hope. And this isn't necessarily something Tom says, but this is what the overall narrative of the story is saying to Joel at the moment.
This is how you gonna repay me, huh?
Repay you?
For all those goddamn years I took care of us.
Took care. That's what you call it? I got nothing but nightmares from those years.
You survived because of me.
Here again, we see how Joel values survival and capability above all else. I gather that here, they may be talking about either during or before the apocalypse, and Joel may have raised and or protected Tommy, but with an iron fist. Joel didn't care how he helped Tommy survive, just that he did. Tommy claims that he still has nightmares about those days, letting us know that Joel, despite us loving him, was rather draconic in his dealings with Tommy, cementing why and how he's grown to love Ellie, not just because she's Ellie and his hope, but because she embodies values that he loves.
It wasn't worth it.
I bring you the cure from mankind, and you want to play the pissy little brother.
We ain't back in Boston. You lay your hands on me again, it won't end well for you.
To me, this shows how brute force, that of which I gather Joel has probably used all his life, or at least in the apocalypse life, to deal with the world will not work in Tommy's fort, and that it won't end well for him. For now, we have to talk about the scene shortly after the beginning of the attack that happens on the base. Once Joel finds Ellie, we see a shot of Tommy overlooking them. Music plays over the two as we see Joel confirming that Ellie is okay, while she kind of freaks out about the happenings. Tommy is used to show how much he sees the care Joel has for Ellie, reminding him of his love for Sarah all those years ago. Even after years of not seeing Joel, he recognizes the love between him and his daughter figure. And maybe it's because I'm sitting in front of a fan while writing this, but this scene gave me goosebumps.
Joel! Oh man, they were coming in from every direction. Then Maria was like, "We gotta run!" And so we dove over these tables, and this huge guy blasted with a shotgun.
Slow down. Listen, hey, are you hurt?
No.
God damn it. I need to talk to you.
We do a hard cut to Tommy attempting to convince his wife to help Joel, showing that even though he didn't want to see Joel's face all those years ago, he wants to attempt to keep light in his brother's life, or at least give him a better chance.
Absolutely not. You tell him to go find somebody else.
Maria, I can't have this hanging over my head.
Do you have any idea how many men we lost here today?
Hey, what's that all about? Does that have anything to do with me?
Talk about it later.
Did he tell you where the lab is?
We'll talk about it later.
Later. Right.
It takes one fuck up. One fuck up and then I turn into one of those widows, okay?
I have to do this. I don't know what else to say.
Fine.
Hey, real quick, why is Tommy kind of dripped the out here? Anyway, we get to one of my favorite scenes in the whole game, that being when Ellie runs away out of disappointment for Joel. Joel and Tommy check her down to a nearby home, and we get this masterful scene between the two, which perfectly encapsulates their relationship. Again, let's analyze this scene.
Get up. We're leaving. Come on.
And if I say no?
Do you even realize what your life means? Huh? Running off like that, putting yourself at risk? It's pretty goddamn stupid.
See, I don't think Joel here really believes in the cure. I think he knows that she's immune, obviously, but this cure isn't something that fills him with great confidence. This is the promise he made to Tess, and is also reinforcing his beliefs to hand her off. See, avoidance to this thing where they seek faults in others to try and justify their position in being an avoidant. Calling her actions stupid is sort of a way to justify handing her off to Tommy.
Well, I guess we're both disappointed with each other then.
What do you want from me?
Admit that you wanted to get rid of me the whole time.
Tommy knows this area.
Oh, fuck that.
Well, I'm sorry. I trust him better than I trust myself.
Stop with the bullshit.
Exactly. Ellie knows what's up, kinda. Joel didn't want to push her away subconsciously, only consciously was he doing that. See, Joel pausing here was him pushing down his emotions and attempting to convince not only Ellie, but himself of how Tommy will be a better escort. And he may even fully believe that, but he doesn't want to let her go. Ellie got too close to his heart here.
What are you so afraid of? That I'm gonna end up like Sam? I can't get infected. I can take care of myself.
How many close calls have we had?
Well, we seem to be doing all right so far.
And now you'll be doing even better with Tommy.
Not her, you know.
What?
Maria told me about Sarah.
Ellie?
And
You are treading on some mighty thin ice here.
And this is the angriest we've seen Joel at Ellie. He's been at best annoyed. But the clear truth is, Ellie isn't Sarah, and will never be. Ellie herself has shattered the illusion that they're one and the same, to Joel's subconscious. We get to the heart of why Joel is so avoidant. And of course, Ellie is met with resistance. Aggressive resistance.
I'm sorry about your daughter, Joel, but I have lost people too.
You have no idea what loss is.
Well, someone never played the Dilk. Also, how dare he say this? That's just mad inconsiderate. And the scene where she's shut down by Joel while trying to talk about Sam is any indication, they haven't really had any deep talks. They don't know each other that well, and that's Joel's fault. So how could he know what she's lost? He couldn't know her pain. No, in his mind, he's the only person who's experienced loss, and everyone else must suffer for it.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
You're right. You're not my daughter. And I sure as hell ain't your dad.
Again, there's more ways than that Joel has been seen, and he hates it. Ellie's greatest fear is suddenly about to come true seemingly. This scene is just masterful, and I'm really realizing why this got made into a show. And no, we're not talking about the show here. But anyway, I want to say this. I feel like Ellie running away here is a classic falling out with the parent behavior as a team. Running away in this capacity is pretty common. However, as a retired minor, it's a tactic to get your parents to reach out. It's a call for help, to be seen. Again, I feel as though Joel and Ellie are speedrunning the ups and downs of a father-daughter relationship, this being their first big fallout. But we get a scene shortly after that shows Joel taking her back. And much like how he apologized, he doesn't do it through words, but through his actions. Ellie, being again the emotionally intelligent one, understands what's happening here.
Ellie, get off your horse. Give it on back to Tommy. I'm gonna hang on to this fella, if that's all right with you. Go on, don't make me repeat myself.
What are you doing?
Your wife kind of scares me. I don't want her coming after me.
Sorry for stealing your horse.
Well, come back to town. Let's discuss it at least.
You know me, my mind's all made up.
Joel and Ellie ride off into the sunset, all the more better for it. So another point to Ellie and Joel speedrunning a normal father-daughter relationship is the fact that they essentially tore a college campus here. It's also worth mentioning that he sounds so alive here, unlike anything we've seen in this game so far. Even at the beginning with Sarah, he's not as enthused as he is here with Ellie. And I mean, clearly this is a trauma bond. It speaks to how repeated trauma can cause it to happen when you go through it with another person. That's also the same way a callus is formed, which just so happens to be the name of the horse they ride in on.
Stay, Callus. What kind of name is Callus anyways?
Not my fault you forgot to ask Tommy his name.
Callus.
See, Joel expresses hate for the name of the horse actually several times, but I believe this horse is a symbol for Joel and the walls he's built up. He hates the name because it's a physical manifestation of his anxieties with the world that keeps him away from Ellie emotionally, but we'll touch more on that horse later. But going forward, just remember the name of that horse and its representation of Joel. But now we skip to Joel getting penetrated by a hard rod. No, see, I love the characterization of this scene. Joel's down and Ellie kills the guy, but right before she asks,
What do you want me to do?
showcasing how even as his perfect apocalypse daughter, Ellie's still just a little girl, and now she's scared because her surrogate father might die here. It's scary for Ellie, for Joel, and the player. But no, remember my comparison to Ellie going off to college? This scene is a parallel to when a child steps into their own while away from their parents. This is how Ellie becomes a woman. This is where she proves herself to the world that she finds herself in. This leads us perfectly into the most important section of this game. This is...
Joel? Joel? Shit. Joel.
See, winter is often used as a motif for death, for sowing the seeds of a better future, a reawakening of sorts. Reaping. After winter is of course spring, which symbolizes abundance. But winter is the test of one's mettle, and we come out as different people by the end of those tests. For Joel, what happens, or rather what almost happens to Ellie, is where he sowed the seeds of his love for Ellie. But in this world, those seeds are often watered with blood.
Hello? We just want to talk.
After hunting a deer, Ellie encounters a man named David who proposes a trade, some of the deer meat in exchange for the medicine. With Joel needing antibiotics, Ellie reluctantly takes the offer. After some time, David and Ellie head into a shack, and this is where we get our first dark parallel to her and Joel. But before, Ellie tries to get close to a closed off Joel. David is attempting to get close to a rightfully wary and closed off Ellie. But as we all know, the trust David wants is rooted in all the wrong reasons. Once the attack concludes, David reveals that he knows she and Joel killed a lot of his people, which is the biggest indication that killing large numbers of people in this game actually matters. The name of the game here is Consequences. But anyway, I have an interpretation of David that might be a bit controversial. I believe that Joel and David are two sides of the same coin. David is a wolf in sheep's clothing, and Joel is a sheep in wolf's clothing. See, David harms Ellie with the truth. Joel, and to some extent Ellie, have been terrorizing people, and he represents the consequences. And no, not the assault, just the people that want to kill them both. And Joel harms Ellie with the lie, that of which sours their relationship almost irreparably, which of course has its own set of consequences. See, going back to my point about David and Joel being dark parallels, David and Joel did something very similar but in very different ways. They took away her agency. Both forced their will upon her and took away her innocence. All of Ellie's quote-unquote protectors do indeed tend to die. Riley, Marlene, Tess, David, and I mention him because during Ellie's escape, it said that David said not to kill her.
What are you waiting for? Shoot her! But David said... Fuck David!
No!
Shoot her now!
So in a way, he protected her, even if the reason was disgusting. And of course, eventually, Joel. Once Joel wakes up, we get the infamous scene of how Joel interrogates people. And look, I love it. He's on a warpath and he has no time for anything other than finding Ellie. I remember my first time playing this game, this scene really kind of creeped me out because of how cold Joel was. Throughout the game, we only really get hints of his brutality, but this is the first time we really see it full force. And it's no coincidence that we see it as a result of a missing Ellie. Here, Joel pulls the wolf skin over his face. We skip ahead to when Ellie slaughters David after he attempts to assault her. Her innocence is gone, and Joel finally catches up to her. Here, Joel has finally allowed Ellie into his heart, and the world is all the more in danger because of it. But let's go back to my point about Callus. Callus is killed by David's men, which to me symbolizes that in this arc, the callous nature of Joel towards Ellie has fully dissipated. And I don't think it's a coincidence that it happens during this time, where Ellie is at her most vulnerable, and Joel is at his most open to Ellie. Now, we welcome spring. An immediate change we see from the rest of the seasons is how bright and saturated the colors are, symbolizing how quote-unquote healthy Joel and Ellie's relationship really is at this point. This section feels hopeful, however we notice how Ellie is sort of zoning out and is less talkative than she has been before. See, I noticed something about the pair of them. They, more often than not, are never really in the same headspace as one another. Sometimes one is open and the other is closed, or sometimes one is alive and one's dead. But no, Ellie, I think, is becoming the woman we meet in part 2, becoming a bit more like Joel when we first meet him. In Spring, there isn't much for me to say as they bonded so much at this point that it's apparent that they love each other. So I bring up a moment that when it happened, when I first saw it, I didn't pick up on the significance, but I knew that this moment really did mean something. That being the giraffe they see near the beginning of this chapter.
You see this?
I won't.
What are you doing?
It's all right. Come here. Hey, fella. Hurry up. Come on.
Hey there. So fucking cool.
See, now that I can properly frame this moment, I realize that the giraffes represent the idea of the sublime.
A sublime experience is indeed one that's really nice, but it's nice for a very strange reason. It makes us feel insignificant. Burke was obsessed with a range of experiences, that is, sublime experiences, in which being slightly humiliated is actually something we relish. He was picking up on a sector of human experience that up to then had been totally ignored. One of his key examples is storms. The vast dark sky is oppressive, the wind is horribly powerful, large trees are overturned. We feel we're nothing in the face of the violence of nature. But this helps put things in perspective. In comparison with a storm, the familiar irritants of daily life seem less significant.
I think here Ellie cements her decision to do whatever it takes to help humanity along. And it's funny because it's not even humanity itself that cements it, it's just the world at large. For a moment, Ellie is able to breathe. Hell, she even perks up again and she becomes the Ellie that we all fell in love with again. She may not know it, but this is what she was fighting for, the beauty of life. This moment can be considered a parallel to Ellie growing up and Joel trying to stop it a bit, much like a parent would when they see their kid becoming an adult, finding their own reasons to live, forming their own identity. Shortly after, we get a shot of Joel about to leave, but we get a scene of him looking back at Ellie. He knows that once the pair walk out that door, there's no going back, and Ellie confirms that. Bars. The sublime hits Joel too, but in a much different way. Instead of using that feeling to fight for something, Joel wants to simply stay in this moment forever, that moment of peace. But not for the world, for the two of them. It's beautiful, but it's selfish.
We don't have to do this. You know that, right?
What's the other option?
Go back to Tommy's. Just be done with this whole damn thing.
After all we've been through. Everything that I've done. It can't be for nothing.
As the giraffes fade into the distance, so does Joel's hope of staying in that moment of peace. Joel moved on, but he can't let go. But when the universe gives you a second chance at happiness, the amount of strength needed to let go is immense. We've seen this portrayed extremely well as Joel and Ellie are stuck in the waters in the underground tunnel section. Joel saves a drowning Ellie and begins to do chest compressions, all the while the fireflies happen upon them, an eerie parallel to the scene at the beginning of the game. But this time around, Joel isn't fazed by the gun at all. He's just trying to save Ellie. He probably doesn't think she'll live, much like Sarah, but in desperation, he gets distracted long enough for the fireflies to knock him out. Joel wakes up in a Firefly hospital. This is truly the beginning of the bond being broken. A short time after waking up, Marlene tells Joel that there wasn't any other choice but to sacrifice her. And personally, I don't think that's true. They quite literally could have left her the fuck alone. But ultimately, that decision isn't really up to any of them, in my opinion. Once again, they take away agency from Ellie all the time in this game, enacting their will on her. See, Ellie herself is a firefly, a light. She's her own light, in fact. She's her own hope to making sense of the world she's in. And that's why Joel taking away her hope to have his own hope is so devastatingly disgusting.
Maria showed this to me and I stole it. I hope you don't mind.
Well, no matter how hard you try, I guess you can't escape your past.
Throughout both games, the hospital slaughter is by far the coldest we've seen Joel. Well, second coldest, maybe. Anyway, the killings here feel less like random waves of enemies and more like a mass killing of people simply trying to save the world. The Fireflies doom themselves by seeing themselves as saviors in a wasteland. The only real flaw is their hope, which often meshes well with hubris.
April 28th. Marlene was right. The girl's infection is like nothing I've ever seen. The cause of her immunity is uncertain. As we've seen in all past cases, the antigenic titers of the patient's cordyceps remain high in both the serum and the cerebrospinal fluid. Blood cultures taken from the patient rapidly grow cordyceps and fungal media in the lab. However, white blood cell lines, including percentages and absolute counts, are completely normal. There is no elevation of pro-inflammatory cytokines, and an MRI of the brain shows no evidence of fungal growth in the limbic regions, which would normally accompany the prodrome of aggression in infected patients. We must find a way to replicate this state under laboratory conditions. We're about to hit a milestone in human history equal to the discovery of penicillin. After years of wandering in circles, we're about to come home, make a difference, and bring the human race back into control of its own destiny. All of our sacrifices and the hundreds of men and women who've bled for this cause, or worse, will not be in vain.
See, to me, Joel here kind of reads like a boomer, lifting the ladder up from the world the minute things look good for him. And I can't say I don't understand Joel's actions here, but sympathy shouldn't equate to idolization of a character who is for all intents and purposes a villain. And I think thematically, this section turns part 1 into kind of a horror game. Only this time, you're the monster. Leading up to the operating room, we come across a recording of Marlene coming to terms with having to give the go-ahead to let Ellie die.
It's 5:30 p.m. on April 28th. I just finished speaking, more like yelling at our head surgeon. Apparently there's no way to extricate the parasite without eliminating the host. Fancy way of saying we gotta kill the fucking kid. And now they're asking for my go-ahead. The tests just keep getting harder and harder, don't they? I'm so tired. I'm exhausted. And I just want this to end. So be it.
This is not a decision made quickly, and we can tell. It's one backed by hope and being tired of watching people die. It's essentially the Charlie problem rewritten. One death for millions, or a million deaths for one. This is like the ultimate manifestation of that thought experiment, where two ideologies refuse to meet in the middle.
Hey, Anna. It's been a while since we spoke. I just gave the okay to proceed with the surgery. I really doubt I had much of a choice. Asking me was more of a formality. I need you to know that I've kept my promise all these years. Despite everything that I was in charge of, I looked after her. I would have done anything for her, and at times Here's a chance to save us. All of us. This is what we were after. What you were after. They asked me to kill the smuggler. I'm not about to kill the one man in this facility that might understand the weight of this choice. Maybe he can forgive me. Oh, I miss you, Anna. Your daughter will be with you soon.
This sentiment is underlined by a character who's not important at all in the future games.
Sweet Jesus.
Doctor?
What are you doing in here? I won't let you take her. This is our future. Think of all the lives we'll save.
But of course, Joel here isn't here for any of that. He's here to save his daughter. And the way he's carrying Ellie here is obviously reminiscent of how he was holding Sarah. He's holding his heart in his hand. Again, the two ideologies refuse to merge. One must die.
Wait! Let me go. Please.
You just come after her.
See, Marlene was also a light. Maybe not the light, but a light in the world where having hope was hopeless. She made tough decisions, with an undercurrent of saving the world, to spare it the pain. Joel kinda ruined all that for love. Only this isn't true love, it's control. Not necessarily over Ellie, but the pain he feels, the loss that he feels. The killing of Marlene was extremely unfounded in my opinion. The Fireflies did talk about killing Joel, but Marlene wanted to step in and protect Joel. Marlene was never the enemy here, and the only reason she pointed a gun at him is because she knew Joel was unhinged at this moment, and he just slaughtered a group of her friends. He could have let her go. She doesn't strike me as a person who pursues people. He was just kind of covering his ass here. It's gross. He essentially destroys months of bonding for someone who at the end of the day wasn't his daughter. The bond makes so much sense and I can't deny that, but if he truly loved Ellie, he would let her make her own decisions. Joel was supposed to let go, and because of that inability, terrible things are to come. Before the game's end, we get Ellie being the emotionally intelligent kid that she is when she asks Joel for the truth.
No matter what, you keep finding something to fight for. Now, I know that's not what you want to hear right now.
Swear to me. Swear to me that everything that you've said about the Fireflies is true.
I swear.
It's clear that she doesn't believe him, and their bond is broken. And maybe not fully like when Joel officially tells her in the second game, but Ellie kind of puts a wall of distance between the two because she knows the truth. It's a wall built from doubt. Now spiritually, the Ellie that we knew in the first game did die in that hospital. Not for humanity, but for Joel.
I'm sorry.
But before we touch on Joel's death, it's worth mentioning the beginning of the game where Joel opens up to Tommy about his decision. And I sense no hint of regret here. If anything, he only feels guilty for lying. Bro will absolutely do it again, and in his mind, he was completely in the right. And of course, Tommy understands and admits he'd probably do the same. Tommy saw the love he had for Ellie and simply understood.
It would kill her. Sweet Jesus.
Doctor?
What are you doing? I won't let you take her. This is our future. Think of all the lives we'll save.
Jesus Christ, Joe.
In the moment where Joel sings to Ellie, it's not only a payoff to the first game, but it's also him trying to apologize to Ellie through song. He's essentially trying to confess here, to make himself feel better about his actions, but in a way that removes actual accountability. I think Ellie here knows something is off. She can't place it because she loves Joel, but I don't think she fully trusts him and is throwing off her judgment. She seems subdued here, like the roles from the first game got flipped. Joel is the one trying, while Ellie is sort of dismissive or just not fully in the moment here. But with the guitar being passed to Ellie, this torch of holding on, of clasping onto things that don't fully serve you, is also passed on. See, that guitar wasn't just a symbol of their bond, it was a curse disguised as a keepsake. Joel gave her the thing he clung to the most, his inability to let go. Now we have to talk about the hardest thing we have to come to terms with. Some of you guys raged, some of you guys understood, and some of you guys sent death threats like little bitches. But in any case, we have to talk about Joel's death scene. Now, Joel's death was signed when he killed Abby's father in the first game, but it was mailed when Tommy told Abby their names. Now, I'm not going to discuss the decision for Tommy to do so, but I've always felt like they've been living relatively well and have adjusted to some sense of normalcy, and so I think they might assume that every stranger out there now is a good person. They're taking off their wolf skin, and they expect others to do so as well. But for Abby, she's wearing hers like a jacket. I won't make you watch this scene again fully, because this scene is harder to watch than Sarah dying in my opinion, but this scene altogether though, as much as it sucks to watch, Joel kinda had this coming. It's deserved, in my opinion. This is what happens when you say fuck the consequences and impose yourself in situations in a way that harms others. Joel kinda golds Abby into just killing him, and I think it's because of the guilt he might feel. Or maybe he knows that on some level he deserves this for killing, even if they were incompetent, innocent people. Abby here is an animal, a monster if you will, but I think this is exactly what Joel would have done in a similar circumstance. Only Joel had no personal beef with any one person like Abby does. Rather, his beef is with the world. And even if the Fireflies weren't capable of making a cure, he still turned his back on the world. When the world hurt him, he hurt it back by taking away any semblance of hope. Whether you like it or not, Abby and Joel are essentially the same person. But whereas Abby spared Ellie, Joel spared no one. Marlene, again, didn't have to die. And this right here is the empathy test. If you can understand Joel's pain, but not Abby's, you missed the point and failed the test miserably. You were never really mad at what happened. You were mad at who it happened to. But with that being said, let's talk about Abby and who she is and what she represents in the world of The Last of Us.
Don't you fucking move. God! Damn it!
We first meet Abby in a snow lodge, and it's apparent that she's going through it within the first couple of seconds of meeting her. She's clearly having nightmares, and instead that she typically grinds her teeth in her sleep, clearly she's holding in a lot of anger here, and that anger is what defines her as a character. This is also why she's like buff as shit. And honestly, it's kinda hot, but y'all ain't ready for that conversation yet. Anyway, we're taken to the outskirts of Jackson, led by Owen. The player knows what's happening next as Abby, essentially a wolf stalks her prey. See, the difference between how Joel and Abby are introduced is incredibly important. In fact, this is where I think people begin to fail the empathy test that this series is really about. Abby is introduced already changed into a type of monster. We don't get her backstory just yet. We don't know why Abby is hunting Joel, just as she is, and has been for a good while. Unlike Joel, we don't see her as a normal everyday person first, and that's mostly because she's too young to have had a life that is akin to the normalcy that Joel had. And you know what? I'll say it, I think Abby might be a better and stronger person than Joel ever was. See, Joel knew normalcy. He had a job. He had a house, he had stability, but he consciously chose to become a monster, even if it was to survive. He became ruthless by closing off parts of him that still cared about the world, until Ellie started to thaw him out. That means when he made his final decision in the hospital, it wasn't ignorance, it was a deliberate rejection of the greater good, because he couldn't lose his surrogate daughter, no matter the cost. Abby, on the other hand, grew up entirely in the apocalypse. She never had that before times morality to fall back on. Her entire worldview was shaped by loss, scarcity, and violence, and still, even though she got her revenge, she found her way to compassion. Sparing Lev, protecting him, and choosing to walk away from killing Ellie twice shows that she was able to rediscover mercy even after reaching her lowest point. But we'll touch on Lev in a second. Abby's introduction was set up purposefully. It parallels how others can come into our lives out of the blue and just fuck us up. We see the wolf before we have a chance to hear about how it was raised, and this game asks us twice. Can we justify the ruthlessness of a wolf when the pup was raised in violence? And if not, why do we give Joel such a pass? The next time we see Abby, she kills the Asian Joel fake out, Jesse, and this is just horrible, right? Abby's such a big f***ing meanie, but like, we did kill her friends. Jesse dying is honestly just an eye for an eye, and realistically it's more like an eye for several other eyes. Anyway, when Abby says,
"We let you both live, and you wasted it,"
I feel like the players kind of saw this as her being on a high horse and trying to justify her anger and tracking them down. The thing is, Abby isn't some force that's out to kill just to kill like Ellie is at this point. She wants peace within herself, and she thought she'd get that by killing Joel, but she sees the consequences of her actions way sooner than Joel and Ellie ever did. She's angry at herself as much as Ellie here, and this is where we get her backstory. Before those big ass biceps. In her backstory, we humanized both Abby and her father. Abby here is noticeably smaller and isn't full of her usual quiet rage. Abby's father is shown as a man who cares about life above all else, even if it's not human life. The zebra they cut free isn't random in this section. See, if the giraffe from the first game was Ellie's sublime moment, the zebra here is Abby's dad's moment, reinforcing his greater purpose, to help and to heal. In fact, his purpose goes beyond his responsibilities to the Fireflies, shown by how both Abby and Owen remind her father that he's straying from his duties to the group at the moment. He's a Firefly, sure, but I'm sure he only chose to stick around them so he could help people. He believed in their cause, and in a world like that, you need every bit of hope you can get. Even in his final moments, staring down the barrel of Joel's gun, he had hope. Another moment that stood out to me is when Marlene asks,
"And what if this was Abby?"
And he doesn't really give her an answer here, but he pretty much says that he would do it. Reluctantly so, but he absolutely would if he thought that he was helping humanity. And much like Ellie, Abby says that she would want him to go through with it, even knowing the cost.
"If it was me, I'd want you to do the surgery."
But above all else, for me, he seems like a man who could be reasoned with by all accounts. And even if his hope and hubris outweighed being talked to, this motherfucker had a scalpel, not a gun. All Joel really had to do was incapacitate him, if anything. But I won't be a dickhead and say that it was super plausible, because to Joel, anyone in his way at this moment was dying, and he wasn't thinking like that at all. But still, Abby's father posed no real threat, other than being a moral obstacle here. But that was enough for Joel to just end his life. Well, we snap back to Abby getting a birdie on Joel's face, and we see that even though Abby's whole purpose has been this moment for the last couple of years, she still has to remember what she went through to continue to kill him. It's not just violence for violence sake. She shows mercy. She shows restraint here. She even stopped her friends from killing unnecessarily. She's quite literally the reason that Ellie and Tommy are still even alive at this point. See, killing out of spite isn't who Abby is. That's Ellie at the moment, if anything. Like Joel, she didn't have to kill her friends. There were other ways that may have ensured that they couldn't communicate with the rest of the WLF. But like Joel, them simply being there when Joel was killed was enough. Point being, she only wanted one person, and when that was done, she was done. The only reason Abby kept coming at Ellie was because she saw how much of a monster Ellie had become. She realized that she was pretty much like Joel, thus beginning a cycle of violence, or rather reinforcing that cycle of violence. But a key factor in breaking that cycle is a kid named Lev. We meet Lev after getting captured by the Seraphites trying to track down Owen, but firstly, let's do a bit of framing here. If Abby is a Joel mirror, then obviously Lev is an Ellie mirror, and that much like how people took agency away from Ellie, the Seraphites took it from Lev by not only misgendering him, but by forcing him to be something he's simply not, that being a ruthless, empathy-devoid killer, much like the Seraphites are. Really quick, I wish that were me. But no, anyway, Lev is Abby's light, much in the same way Ellie is to Joel, but like Ellie and Joel, it doesn't happen overnight. night, bars. And they escape into the forest after Yara tells Lev to free Abby. And this is already the crack in the armor against the WLF in the Seraphite battle, and it's compassion based at that. At this point, I'm sure Abby saw the Seraphites as faceless enemies, but now she can put faces to names and see the real humanity behind them. There's even a part where Abby asks why the Seraphites were attacking them, and Lev, seeing no reason to lie, says that he cut his hair, breaking the rules of the group. And Abby doesn't believe him, but what's more important is that the question was asked in the first place.
Never seen scars going after scars before.
Seraphites.
What the hell did you do?
I shaved my head.
Fine, don't tell me.
See, Abby isn't some heartless monster. She becomes more curious about her companions way faster than Joel ever did, even if it is to cut some tension. Shortly after escaping, we find shelter and proceed to set Yara's broken arm. Even though they belong to two groups of people who are sworn enemies, empathy still shines through. And sure, maybe it can be read like Abby repaying a debt, it's also still empathy at the end of the day. Regardless, how was it that someone born and bred in the apocalypse can show more empathy than a man born in normalcy?
This area gets a lot of traffic. Whatever shape she's in, we need to get out of here by tomorrow.
But anyway, we fast forward to Abby finding Owen, and he tells a story regarding him and a fight he had with an older Seraphite, and it's kind of heartbreaking.
We were cleaning out a small camp. It's just a couple scars, and I hit this one on the head, hard. And he goes down, and his weapon's right there. And he doesn't go for it. Instead, he turns to me. And he's old and tired. He was just ready. Killed a lot of scars. And this fucking guy. I couldn't do it.
It sounds like to me that man was just ready to go, probably terrified of living in that group, and is ready to be done with it all. See, this man could have even been older than Joel, so he would have known a normal world. He probably longed for the days of old as well, but somewhere along the way, he got tied up in the Seraphites, and at first was probably all for it. He could have been a monster too at some point, but over time, it seems like the world, probably that group, just swore him down. See, these people, these kids essentially in the WLF, or at least Owen and Abby, understand that the world is much bigger than the WLF. The empathy is the real reason we're fighting for. But I digress. On day 2, Abby returns back to the storage container where Yara and Lev are holed up. She knows the area has pretty high traffic and wants to keep them safe. After finding them, we find out Yara's arm is actually infected and needs surgery, so she takes them back to the aquarium where Owen and Mel are. And a scene I want to point out that stuck out to me is when Owen sees the pair and is a bit apprehensive, but not fully on edge and combative. However, their dog is in attack mode. And I don't know, see, to me this reads like if they were combative with the Seraphites off rip, they'd be no better than dogs. Much like how Ellie acted towards Abby's friends. But anyway, obviously though, being in butt nowhere, they have no supplies. We see the first real bit of active compassion from Abby when she risks her neck to steal supplies from the WLF base. This is where Abby finds something to truly fight for, and not necessarily against. But anyway, we skip ahead to Lev going on his own little mission when he runs away, and Abby immediately goes into rescue mode. Abby doesn't even have to here, mind you. Lev is capable of making his own choices, much like Ellie was, by virtue of having lives that involve a lot of going up quicker than should be necessary. This is Abby fully putting Lev above the whole conflict. She's walking right into enemy territory, not to kill, but to save ultimately, to save Lev. This whole section to me kind of mirrors the moments with David. See, tragedy happens in the form of Yara dying. The WLF show up and see Abby has betrayed them, and the pair grow closer by the end of it. Abby has fully abandoned her wolf skin. Abby comforts Lev, much like how Joel comforts Ellie, but given the severity of the moment, it's quick, but still just as meaningful.
Lev, we need to move. She's gone. Oh my god, she's gone. Lev, come on.
Those were your fucking people.
Hey, you're my people.
Listen to me. We're gonna have to fight to get out of this, okay? And then I need you to show us to those boats. We don't let anybody stop us. Yeah? Okay. Okay. Follow me.
Sometime later, Abby and Lev make their way back to the aquarium, where she finds her friend slaughtered by Ellie. Even Mel, who Abby can barely tolerate, who's pregnant. See, don't get it twisted, I genuinely do care about Joel, but he became a monster as well. And here, it's apparent that he turned Ellie into one indirectly. In one of the coldest parts of this game, Lev hands Abby a map of where Ellie is going. Abby may have taken her revenge, for better or for worse, but Ellie is the one who makes it a personal vendetta between the two of them. Not without reason, of course, but Joel dying was his karma, the consequences of his actions. By all accounts, Ellie's hands were clean, but once she left Jackson, she happily covered herself in the blood of people who weren't even responsible for Joel dying. It's unjustifiable in my opinion. But the players, the ones who can't see past their own biases, love this moment. They love seeing Abby hurt, all because their monster of a protagonist was given the most rational death of all. But now, we cut to Abby at the theater, thus turning a bend in the cycle of violence between Ellie and Abby. Before we dive fully into this section, can I just say how f***ing arrogant this group of people can be? The way Tommy says,
"You gonna kill me like a coward?"
is just annoying as shit. She's got you beat, my guy. Shut the fuck up. And this right here is the kind of micro parallel of the relationship between Abby and Joel. Essentially, talk shit, get hit. Anyway, I find it interesting how easily Ellie gives up at the initial confrontation here. Maybe it's because Abby has Tommy at gunpoint, but she begs for his life and tries to give herself up. Feigned or not, it's kind of a weird choice from her in my opinion. After all the time spent killing her friends, how is it that you ask for mercy now, though?
Stop! She had nothing to do with it. She's pregnant.
And like, how do you have the audacity to tell Abby not to kill Dina and that she had nothing to do with it? Like,
are you fucking dumb?
Neither did Abby's friends. At most, they helped restrain Joel. But guess whose orders they were under? I love Ellie, but she's actually kind of being a jackass here. The only reason Abby didn't is because of Lev, her light, a reminder of her humanity, her firefly essentially.
Don't ever let me see you again.
I'm reminded of the man at the ambush from the first game actually, using a kind of fake empathy test to lull people into a false sense of security before ultimately attacking. See, Joel said he's done that bit before as well. Here we get Ellie doing something similar in my opinion. For all intents and purposes, Ellie here is just as much of a monster as Joel has become. Again, she's the only one who made it personal between the two. And you know what? This isn't even entirely her fault. This whole thing stretches back to Joel. See, Joel was a monster in a different way. Not necessarily because he refused humanity a cure, or a chance for a cure rather. Joel was a monster because he created monsters. His actions had a ripple effect that spanned nearly half a decade. If we reach back far enough, it was the fungus that started the cycle of violence. Had the city not fallen into peril, Sarah might still be alive. Abby wouldn't have killed Joel, Ellie wouldn't have killed Abby's friends, Ellie wouldn't be haunted by her choices, and she wouldn't have seen her worst fear realized. See, the cycle starts there, and once it goes on, it's forever until the person can consciously break out of the cycle. And I'll not say it's easy, because it's not, but that's why people like Ellie and Lev exist, to remind us that not all in the world is bad, to give us something to fight for. And the worst part, Joel had that, but because he went about defending his light too drastically, he only serves to perpetuate the cycle, casting his surrogate daughter into it in the process. But on Ellie's side, she gets everything she wants on paper, a loving family. She's not alone here, but with all she feels regarding Joel's death, she just can't let it go. It's her compulsions, her obsessions that drive her to actively pursue Abby. Joel and Ellie are sheep in wolf's clothing, and revenge is their shepherd.
So I've been putting out feelers for months now. And this new guy heard my story. He told me about a woman that he traded with while he was moving through California. Described her as built like an ox, traveling with a kid with scars across his face. He said they're living along this coast in a beach sailboat right here. That's gotta be her.
We're done with that, Sarah.
I'm sorry.
Well, I can't go.
I know.
Reckon it's easy. Forget about her. You sitting all comfy way out here?
Hey.
I'll make her pay.
Tommy.
That's what you said when we got back to Jackson.
Tommy.
What a joke.
I hate Tommy's character here. Listen, if you really wanted revenge, you take your dick sporting good shopping ass out there yourself, or get people to go with you. Listen, Ellie is good here, you miserable dickhead. Anyway, Abby attempts to break the cycle, but she gets punished for it, and it's understandable. Ellie feels she can't be at peace without Abby dying, so even with the promise that Dina wouldn't be there when Ellie got back, Ellie succumbs to her compulsions. And Ellie, on some level, must know that this position she finds herself in is kind of Joel's fault. Joel turned Ellie, the girl we meet at the beginning of this series, into a monster. But we skip ahead to one of the final scenes of the game. We find Abby in a state of near emaciation, and her losing her muscle is symbolic of her losing her drive to fight. And it's worth mentioning, her losing that drive didn't happen upon killing Joel. Rather, she tries to break the cycle a second time because of Lev. It's also worth noting that Ellie doesn't kill Abby in her vulnerability, which to me means she desperately wants killing her to mean something. She doesn't want an easy kill, that of which she had right here. Some part of her knows that killing her isn't the answer already. Abby doesn't even want to fight her. After getting down, she goes right for Lev, not Ellie. There's no vitriol here, no anger, just a desperation to leave her captors. But Ellie goads Abby into fighting by threatening Lev, and the two fight in the most uncomfortable fight scene that I've ever witnessed. See, a sensible person would not want this fight. It's simply not worth it. And I'm willing to bet that so many players were foaming at the mouth in excitement for this very moment, even after everything they've experienced so far over the course of this game. It's disgusting in my opinion. It makes me feel like they skipped all the cutscenes just to see where they got to fight Abby. In the end, Ellie overpowers Abby and is mere moments away from drowning her. But she then gets visions of peace that she felt with Joel. She sees the love between Abby and Lev and knows she'll probably never have that again, and finally understands that even if she killed Abby, she couldn't bring back Joel. But with that, she returns home. When I say Joel is a monster, again, it's not because of the choice to kill Abby's dad. It's because of this moment right here. Abby tries to break the cycle multiple times, but Ellie, because of her pain, kept rebuilding it. The players wanted it as well. And if you were that player, you failed the test miserably, like I said. So tell me, was Ellie going after Abby all those times really worth it? So, wrapping up, this game was an empathy test. It actually wasn't meant to be about right or wrongs, really. It's about seeing if you as a person can accept the consequences of your actions. So I think that we as a people typically consume media through the lens of our own worldview. And I think this game asked us to have a degree of separation from the characters that we grew to love and care about. I feel like this game is so hated because I think it forced people to look into a mirror and people hated what they saw. See, I think if you thought Joel made the right choice, you too, like David, like Joel, like the Fireflies, took agency away from Ellie by simply denying her compassion, denying her the sympathy and empathy of understanding why she needed to make the choice herself. See, I posted a poll some time ago asking if you thought Joel made the right choice by quote unquote saving her. Someone commented saying that she was too young to make that decision. To that I say, Ellie was never really a kid. She had killed several times before the point of the hospital. She watched people she loved die. If you can watch life disappear and take lives yourself, why is it that when it comes to her own life, it's not up for debate? When you people rage over Abby's character and genuinely got mad that Joel died, you refuse to see the humanity in Abby, even when she turned away from Ellie twice, both in positions where she could have killed her. You only saw Joel and Ellie and their dynamic as the end-all be-all of this game. Your refusal to sympathize with Abby was especially bad. Again, we consume media through the lens of our own biases. To me, when you go off online about how Abby was a bad character, you, to me, expose that you essentially have no empathy. When I see those weird videos of people killing Abby through use of mods, it rubs me the wrong way. I mean, sure, it may be all jokes, but there's truth in jokes. You feel on some level that she wronged you, when in reality, she held a mirror up to you and your own biases. The Last of Us 1 and 2 were both empathy tests. And sure, The Last of Us 1 may have not intended to be initially, but the existence of 2 recontextualized the first game. And just like good and evil, you can't have one without the other. See, many weren't ready for the test. test. And that's the point. People just wanted another romp to these zombie infested streets, but instead you got a test on growth and forgiveness. But with all that being said, if you can't see both sides and understand both sides, I believe you don't have empathy. And that's not a failing of the game, that's kind of a failure of your upbringing. Ellie at the end of the game let Joel go, as evidenced by her leaving his guitar behind. So my question to you is, why can't you let go? Why can't you move on? If you made it this far, I have a question. Do you think that another sequel in this franchise is necessary? What story would they tell, if you believe so? I'll give my answer below in the comments. But in any case, I've been Never Not June. Thanks for watching.
And I'm so tired of being alone.